Rather, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into Him who is the head, into Christ.
As he neared the final hours before he was to be crucified, Matthew 26, verse 37 tells us that Jesus began to be sorrowful and troubled. And in verse 38, it says that he said to them, "My soul is sorrowful, even to death." And in verse 39, Jesus prays a prayer that he would pray 3 times that night. He says, "My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." Jesus knew what was ahead. He knew the challenge, and he knew it was a great one. In Hebrews 12:2 tells us that he endured the cross, that crucifixion. He endured the cross and despised the shame for the joy that was set before him. We see and appreciate this for the monumental sacrifice that it is, the incredible gift of God's Son for our sins. And reading this account in Matthew, we see that of all the amazing things Jesus did during his life, this was the hardest thing. And that's saying something, isn't it? That's saying something for a man who walked on water. That's saying something for a man who healed the sick and healed the lame. That's saying something for a man who dealt with constant bullying from the religious elite. That's saying something for a man who went 40 days without food. This was his most difficult task. One of my favorite secular quotes comes from Mark Twain, who said, "Eat a live frog the first thing in the morning, and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day." And he also said, if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, eat the bigger frog first. And what he's saying is, you need to do hard things. And it's good for us to do hard things. It's good for us to take on difficult tasks. In fact, right now, with many of us spending a lot more time at home, it can be very easy for us to grow complacent and even a little bit lazy being out of our routine. But if we're being honest, and if I'm being honest, it doesn't always take a quarantine to throw us into complacency and into laziness. Status quo becomes acceptable. We don't want to get out of our comfort zone. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to do something that's hard. Henry Ford said, "If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. No improvement. Things will always stay the same." Well, there's no complacency. There's no place for complacency in the life of a Christian. We are expected to grow. In Hebrews 5, an admonition is given to those who should be teachers, but verse 12 says you need someone to teach you the basic principles. You should be getting meat, but you still need milk. You're not mature. As Christians, we're expected to grow, and to grow, we have to do hard things. We see hard things being done all throughout the Bible. Noah endured the ridicule and the judgment of his peers as he tirelessly followed God's commands for 100 years, laboring as he built the ark. Abraham selflessly left his homeland, left everything he knew to follow God. Hosea forgave his wife Gomer, who had left him to become a prostitute. Those are hard things. James tells us in chapter 1, verse 2, to count it all joy when you face trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. James is saying you grow by doing hard things. Hard things aren't always fun, but doing hard things is imperative to our growth as a Christian. Well, what are the hard things that we face? You know, it's going to be different. It really is going to be different for all of us. In fact, our hard things are probably going to be different even for us from day to day. Sometimes when things are tough, when fear is heightened, when the world looks gloomy, and the pain that we've suffered in our life just seems to be the most present and close thing in our mind, On days like that, just getting out of bed is a hard thing. Other days, pushing ourselves to work harder in our jobs, to be better than just good enough. Pushing ourselves physically, our diets. A lot of those things can be hard things. But for many of us, saying words like, I'm sorry, or I love you, or I forgive you, sometimes those things can be harder than running a marathon. Giving grace before giving judgment, not speaking our minds when, we feel like we really need to let this person know how we feel, or we really need to let this person know where they're wrong. Sometimes closing our mouth can be a hard thing. And we can give in to those things if we like. We can. As free moral agents, we absolutely have the choice to not do hard things. But you know what? I'm so grateful that when given the choice, Jesus did the hard thing for me. I had a basketball coach that used to tell us that there's two kinds of pain that everyone suffers. There's the pain of discipline and there's the pain of defeat. And the pain of discipline requires us to do hard things, but the rewards are so great. The rewards of laziness and complacency are living with the same regrets and living with the same consequences of a life filled with avoiding hard things. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. This week, I want to encourage you to do some hard things. Eat some frogs. Not literally. But do the hard things in life. The things that are standing in front of you that you just don't want to do, but you know you should do. Give forgiveness. Write some cards. Call some people on the phone. Tell some folks that you love them. Do the hard things. I love you. Have a great day.